suicide's just on a huge, it's the leading cause of death in ages 18 to 25, and the second leading cause of death in ages 10 to 25. It's just terrifying to think of 10-year-olds that are dying by suicide. I just can't even. I mean, my son was only 15. I still can't. He was just a baby. He was just a kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is why we have to talk about it.
Hey there. Welcome to Parties to Playdates. I'm Kendall.
And I'm Jess. We're here to fill your day with warmth and laughter.
Join us as we navigate the chaos and joy of everyday life.
We're all about sharing real life moments with a dash of humor and practical tips.
So grab your coffee and settle in for a cozy chat.
Because here, every moment is a story worth sharing.
No topic is off limit.
And every listener is a friend.
Let's get this party started.
Well, good morning, Parties to Playdates listeners. As you can tell, we're missing Kendall today, but we have a special guest with us. Kendall's dealing with toddler things. And today we have our lovely guest, Lily Crowder, who I have known for close to 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Lily is a mom of 4 kids, 2 girls, 2 boys, just like me, which I love. And her kids are older than my kids. So she's got kids that are all out of the house. And she's also an author and just an amazing woman. So we just want to welcome Lily.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So we'll just jump right in with a fun story for today. If you want to get started.
Ezekiel is my youngest. So I went girl, boy, girl, boy. So yeah, he is my youngest. And he was born funny. And when I say that, like as an infant, even, he had these expressions and ability to connect with people that would just make you laugh. So he was just a funny guy. And if
I
anyone
love.
talks about him, they're just like, oh man, he just makes you smile and laugh, even just talking about him. So I could dig from a big well of funny stories that he's done, but I'll share one when he was a really little boy and kind of just shows his creativity and his humor were always swirling through
Yeah.
his head. But when he was about 3 years old, we took a flight to Georgia to go see grandparents. And he wanted to go use the bathroom. And he wanted to do it by himself. We just stood outside of the little airplane bathroom. And he did this whole skit in there of like, help, I'm stuck. And I guess he had seen something on the movie or something and he wanted to reenact it. And it was just like so much theatrics and drama. And then the flight attendant lady comes and like gets the door open and is panicked. And he comes out. He's like, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh. I love it. Like he saw the story where if you flush, it'll like suction you down or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. And
Oh
he
my
went
gosh.
into it. And yeah. And it was like he wasn't being naughty. He took every opportunity to dive into humor. He was just a
Yeah,
funny guy. So that's one of many, but that was like 3 years old. And
I love that.
he spent a
Only
whole,
3?
yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's so
Yeah,
good. He's tiny. His
he
tiny
had
little
a,
voice.
I think that was his intelligence. He understood humor and he understood the nuances of humor, facial expressions. And yeah, it wasn't even what he would say, just the way he'd move his body and his facial
Yeah.
expressions would just make you laugh. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love that so much. That's so
Yeah.
fun. Well, that actually reminds me of a story when I was a kid. It's also a bathroom story. My mom had taken me and my sister to the doctor. We had like a nasty flu or something. And so we were in this waiting room, and right off the waiting room was the bathroom. And I went in to use the bathroom. And when I was in there, it was tiled and super echoey. And so I was in there just singing my heart out. I was like, la da 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 da, just like going to town, maybe sing a song. I can't remember. I was in there for a minute and it was just echoing. It sounded amazing. And then I get done and I come out and my mom's face is bright red. And I just like bebop out, like da da da, like have no clue that anybody heard a word that I said in there. And she was like, she looks at me, she's like, oh my gosh, what were you doing in there? And I was like, oh my gosh, mom, it sounded amazing. It had this crazy echo. She's like, yes.
Acapella.
Yeah. She's like, yes, we all heard it. So she said the whole time I was in there, the whole waiting room filled with people was just looking around like, what is happening right now?
Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
Because I was just going to town singing my heart out. So I get it. I guess
Adorable.
sometimes the bathroom is an inspiring place
Yeah, I
for a
think
little bit of theatrics.
you go into your own world as a kid. I remember kind of getting in front of the mirror and singing a pop song. Yeah.
Yeah. So funny.
Mm.
So, yeah, I love a good bathroom story. And on a plane too. We haven't had one of those yet.
That was, I think that might be my husband's favorite story, one of his favorite stories to tell about Ezekiel. It's
Oh
just
my
that plain
gosh.
one. But we have
I
many.
love I love that he was so little too. That's impressive.
Yeah,
Impressive.
funny kid.
So, so yeah, part of the reason that we've got Lily on today and why we wanted to visit with you so much is you have written a book that is recently come out about your son Ezekiel and about a very important topic with our kids and with just about anybody that we encounter these days. And with September being Suicide Prevention Month, we really wanted to bring you on and talk to you about your experience and the process you've been through with that. This is the book, A Monday in February, A Story of Hope After Losing My Son to Suicide by Lily Crowder. We will be giving away a copy of this because I feel like it's such a powerful, amazing message. For our listeners, we'll be sending one of those out. If you just want to start a little bit of your backstory and a little bit about Ezekiel and where you want to start
Yeah.
your story there.
Yeah, 2021 at the end of the pandemic, we were still in lockdowns. And I'm sure Oregon was one of the more strict
Yeah.
states, along with California and Washington and West Coast. So it was a long, rough year for everyone. I think the whole community was feeling that, and especially for our teens. And my oldest son had been sent home from college, and it was hard. It was a lot of adjustments, and he had just gone back to school in January and was still doing school online. And Ezekiel, our youngest, was a sophomore in high school and online every day. And definitely, I noticed he was depressed. A mom just knows when their kids aren't doing well, but I just assumed it was the COVID pandemic coupled with being 15. And I
Yeah.
just tell people it was a really hard time to be 15. And he was definitely depressed. I could tell that. My happy, jovial, funny boy, I could see that. And yeah, I didn't really think anything more than just typical teenage blah coupled with the isolation of pandemics. So on February, on a Monday in February, which is the title of my book, I lost him to suicide just suddenly and without warning. And it's been almost 5 years. So we've been on quite a journey of loss and trauma and healing. And this was what led me to write my book. I think in the beginning of that loss, you just want to find ways to survive and you want to find an ounce of hope to let you know that you're going to make it and your family's going to make it. And so I read every book I could get my hands on
Yeah.
from mothers and fathers that had lost kids, especially teens, to suicide and that survived. And I think that first month I would just sit up in bed and read a book a night just to, I couldn't sleep. So those books were a huge lifeline for me. And so I think as I was going through the healing process after losing Ezekiel, I just knew I was going to share the story when I was ready. And part of how I healed too was journaling. So I would journal every day, write a letter to Ezekiel, just be really raw and open with my feelings and healing and connecting with Ezekiel where he exists now. My journey with God and my faith was really poured out on pages. So I compiled this book with a lot of those journal entries too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one thing about this book that was so powerful is your vulnerability in a lot of those situations, and that you actually share some of those things that you wrote and some of those letters to him and thoughts and feelings that you were having. And I feel like the reason I loved this book so much is because it shows such a true reflection of our human emotion, and how when things like this happen, you go through such a wide variety of emotions and feelings, and it's confusing and you feel lost. And you did so well at expressing those feelings, but also sharing the level of hope, but also the level of desperation. And one of the things you said in one of the chapters is the quote was, maybe touching death so horribly close allows us to touch life closer too. And how you started to find just little moments that made life a little bit enjoyable, even in those deepest, darkest moments. And I thought that was really beautiful, the way that you shared those things, and just your bravery in sharing your process through the whole experience.
It was raw for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And honest. I think I wanted to, I'm not in as much scorching pain as those first months and years. You never, I think in grief community, everyone can agree, you never stop grieving because grief is love. It's your love for that person. It just changes form. You gain a muscle around it. So you learn how to carry it in a way that's lighter. And I think I was on the fence. Even writing the book, I was pulling from journal entries and experiences, and it was like, whoa, that's really heavy, you know? But at the
Yeah.
same time, I remember being in that really heavy place and needing to feel like I wasn't crazy and needing to feel like I wasn't alone. And so when others were vulnerable about those same feelings after losing a child and trying to find your footing again in life, I was so thankful for their honesty because I was like, oh, I'm not losing my mind. This is
Yeah.
normal. This is a normal way to feel. So I wanted to make sure I didn't edit that stuff out or try to pull it together and be more lovely in my grief and tidier. It's really messy. It's a messy process for sure. And
It
then,
really
yeah,
is.
and then you wake up to the beauty of life again. And that is a whole different experience. Yeah.
Yeah. The way that you share and explain grief, even for somebody who hasn't lost a child, but somebody who's lost anybody close to them, it's so relatable. Just like you said, it makes people feel like they're not alone. And that's why I feel like it's such a powerful book, because you're sharing things that are going to save a lot of people from feeling lost and feeling alone and feeling like they're going crazy in their grief, because you're sharing things that are very raw and messy, because that's what it is. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, it is. And it can be really lonely.
yeah,
Yeah. I've had emails. It's been really beautiful because I knew my target audience for writing this book um, would be parents that had lost children or anyone that's lost anyone to suicide, but it crossed over. And so I've had people read it that have lost a spouse or a parent from 30 years ago, and it's allowed them to process their grief in a way that they needed to heal and give language to things that they've been feeling but haven't been able to express. And so I've gotten these emails from people, someone that had lost her husband. They were married when they were young, and she just had to get on with life. And they got remarried and hadn't really had time to process that. And so she just said how much it helped her. So yeah, that was surprising too, to
yeah,
see that response. I'm really thankful for that.
yeah, that's wonderful. So, one of the things that you talked about in the book that really resonated with me, that I've never really thought about before, is how much shame is related to suicide and thoughts of shame and things like that. Could you talk about that? Because that was something that was really powerful. And it's something that, as a mom of teenagers, I'm always concerned about like, what are they thinking about? What are they feeling? Are they just being quiet teenagers or is something going on?
And I think that, and there's a section on my in my book, it's a short section just titled Suicide, and just giving information, some research, what we know about it, what we don't know, and some awareness around that. And yeah, I really appreciate you even doing this because it is Suicide Prevention Month and important to just get this conversation going and normalized, primarily to relieve the stigma that surrounds people that struggle with suicidality or depression or mental health. I think when you use the word shame in relation to someone that is feeling suicidal, it is related to maybe things that they feel shame about in their life and who they are and self-worth. But when I've talked with people that have survived being suicidal or survived attempts, they really emphasize that when they're in that state of mind, they feel shame for their thoughts. They feel shame for being suicidal or entertaining that. And so they'll hide it from people, and especially from the people that love them the most, the people that could really help them. So it's so important to have the conversation out in the open. It's shining light on that darkness. And the way we can do that, I think, as parents and as a society, and this is what I say, and experts say one of the number one prevention tools is just to talk about it. Say the word. It's like even saying the word
Mm-hmm.
suicide when you say it, it just hurts coming out. And you can feel
Yeah.
like, oh, I just said a really taboo word, even. And statistically, to throw out a number to put things into perspective for your listeners, there was a study in Center for Disease Control Studies 2 years ago. So they're not even updated for now, but in 2023, a survey and their statistics were that 22% of high schoolers have considered taking their lives. You know, that you got 10 kids in a room, two of them have thought about it. So I
Yeah.
think there is this thought that if you bring it up, if you say the word, you're going to give someone the idea. And that is a misperceived notion that it's not true. So saying it brings it to light and it gives the person who might be feeling shame around those thoughts an opportunity to ask for help, an opportunity to be like, oh, I'm not flawed for having these thoughts. I just need help. And talking about it around the table as a parent really calmly and educating your family on what to do if for one day you find yourself depressed and you start showing signs of deeper depression, and then if you might have an intrusive thought of ending your life, because really wanting to die is actually a very normal response in your brain to emotional pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember, do you remember feeling any of that when you were young? I wasn't suicidal, but I remember feeling like I just didn't want to exist because I felt so awkward and flawed. And some of our kids are just, they're empaths and they're more tender, and this world's really hard. And Ezekiel was definitely an empath. I think he definitely carried the burden of his friends and his family, and he felt things really heavily. And he was always a funny guy, and so he really hid that stuff. And then also teaching your kids what to do if one of their friends shows signs of being suicidal or makes comments about ending their life or not wanting to exist, or there's certain warning signs too to be on the lookout for. But talking about it helps relieve the shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are some of the things when we hear somebody say, "Oh, this is what I'm thinking about, this is what I'm feeling." What's a good resource for that, or like what can you tell somebody if they're like, "Oh, this is how I'm feeling?"
Well, now there's a national 3-digit suicide hotline number. So it used to be this long 1-800 number.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2022, suicide's just on a huge, it's the leading cause of death in ages 18 to 25, and the second leading cause of death in ages 10 to 25. It's just terrifying to think of 10-year-olds that are dying by suicide. I just can't even. I mean, my son was only 15. I still can't. He was just a baby. He was just a kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is why we have to talk about it. But they've
Yeah.
shortened that number, so the number is 988. And I would just say memorize that number, put it in your contacts, and you can actually call that number as a parent or a coach or anyone that's working with children, not in a crisis moment, not when there's somebody that might be exhibiting signs of suicide or has admitted to being suicidal. You can call that number, and there are trained and paid experts in your area that can walk you through steps of what to say to somebody that might be in that place, what to do with somebody that might be in that dark place. And then you have a fire drill and you're prepared and educated on what you would do. And then you can share that. If you did that for your kids, you can share that with your kids if they had a peer that might have come to them or they were concerned about. But in my suicide chapter in my book, one of the main preventative things when I think about what is suicide prevention is to talk about it and to ask
Mm-hmm.
specifically, if you're concerned, even just a little bit, to say the words, are you suicidal? And to not say it in this like
Mm-hmm.
taboo, freaked out way or
Yeah.
panic if they might say yes and take away their phone and isolate them. Like, are you feeling suicidal? Are you thinking about ending your life? And then ask, do you have a plan? Have you entertained plans? Because usually by the time somebody does attempt, they have entertained the idea countless times. They've thought of ways to
Yeah.
die. And so I will forever ask, especially during the couple weeks leading up to when Ezekiel took his life, because yeah, hindsight is 2020. I can see some really blaring loud signs in him now that I couldn't see then.
Mm-hmm.
But I really wished I had been like, hey, instead of just, are you doing okay? You ask a 15-year-old boy, are you okay? What are they going to say? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm totally fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I had
Yeah.
said, hey, are you feeling suicidal? Instead of, are you depressed? Are you feeling suicide? I wish I had said that. So
Yeah.
asking is really important in alleviating the shame and bringing it to light. And it's okay to ask. And if they are okay that moment, they might say yes. It's okay to ask
Mm-hmm.
again 2 weeks later or a month later to keep asking.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, talk about it. Talk about how to have a resiliency plan. And the second thing, is really finding a safety plan if you have somebody in your life that's struggling with depression and suicidality, keeping lethal means locked up and really safe in your home. And most of the time, you can carry someone who's suicidal through that dark moment, especially a teenager with a developing brain. And I,
Yeah.
I really believe had we been able to carry through Ezekiel through that moment and COVID and get him the help we need and
Mm-hmm.
then start getting him socializing. He was so social. So the isolation of COVID was just so hard on him. And yeah, two of the greatest factors for someone that finds himself in a suicidal state of mind is the feeling of being flawed, the shame, feeling like there's something wrong with them. And then the second is
Mm-hmm.
isolation. So the biggest thing I would say to look for in our kids or our loved ones if they start to really isolate. So yeah, the isolation of the pandemic was really, I know that if we hadn't been in those times as his mom, I know that he would have made it
Yeah.
past that day. But I'm going to say something though. Here's what I would say. If suicide ever enters your mind, if you are talking to someone, if it ever enters your mind, if it ever becomes a thinkable option to your pain, there's a way out. And so you just have to let people know there's a way out. There are people who understand exactly what you're thinking and feeling. You're not alone. So many people struggle with these thoughts. 22% of your peers. So out of 10 people, two of your friends are thinking, have had these thoughts. And there's help. And there's resources and help. So yeah, it's a preventable it's preventable. So, which hurts. It's
Yeah.
like it hurts to know like
Yeah.
how unnecessary my son's death, and it is
Mhm.
preventable. Yeah.
Yeah. There's been different conversations that I've had with my kids throughout the years when I get worried or stressed. Their kids go through rough situations and losing friends and different things like that, or feeling isolated. And as a parent, you always wonder, oh, are they okay? How much should I say? How much should I not say? But I do like the idea of just putting it out there on the table so that they know there's a way out. I like that phrase, there's a way out. This isn't our only option, and that there is help and there's resources out there that can prevent it. So I really love that. As we wrap up our chat with Lily, I just want to say a huge thank you for her openness and sharing her story with us. It's really important to talk about these issues, especially since it's Suicide Prevention Month. We'll be back next week for part 2 with Lily, where we'll dive deeper into her experiences and talk more about suicide prevention. If you or someone you know is struggling with suicidal thoughts, please don't hesitate to reach out for help. You can contact the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 988. Trained counselors are available 24/7 to listen and provide support. Thanks for tuning in today, and I hope you'll join us next week for more of our conversation with Lily. And that, party people, wraps up another delightful episode of Parties to Playdates.
We hope you're leaving with a smile, a story, and maybe a tip or two.
Remember, life's journey is better shared with a friend.
And we're so grateful to be part of yours.
If you enjoyed today's chat, don't forget to rate and subscribe to our show.
Your support keeps our community growing and our stories flowing. We want to hear from you. Please send us your thoughts, ideas, and questions to partiestoplaydates@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Parties to Playdates.
Until next time, keep embracing the chaos and finding the joy.
Take care and stay connected, party people.
Bye for now, and don't forget to laugh a little extra today.
Bye.